everyone, welcome to Small Biz Tips. So, I believe a few weeks ago, I had a chance to had a conversation with this gentleman. I was blown away by all he was able to do in such a short period of time. So I said, we got to get him on the pod. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Appreciate you coming in, brother. So, before we go into details on what you do, who is Jeremy?
Who is Jeremy? Well, I'm a father. I have two small babies, and I'm a entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for since I graduated college. I used to be a documentary filmmaker back in college. Um,
Wow.
when I was 18 years old, I won the audience award at the Vail Film Festival for a documentary I made.
Nice.
But it was very funny. It's like right after I won, I remember I was on the top of the mountain in Vail, Colorado, and I went to this like celebrity brunch. I mean, that's what
Mm.
they called it afterwards. And half the room were these major celebrities everyone's heard of, and half the room were these struggling artists. And I asked myself a question: number one, do I love what I'm doing? And number two, am I
Mm.
that good at it? And both answers in my mind were no. So I had to make a quick pivot, quick change in my career. And I started my first business when I was 22 years old. Didn't know anything about business. I was a filmmaker, and
Wow.
I just learned as much as I could. And I think that's the biggest thing for entrepreneurs. You just kind of have to get out of your own head and just
Yeah.
go for it. And most likely the thing they're going to launch is not going to be the right thing, but you'll learn from it, you'll pivot, you'll change, and ultimately you'll find your path.
I want to go back, right? You started that production business at like 18. I started my
Yep.
first company at 18 too. But I think I saw that you had a chance to have Russell Simmons star.
Yep.
How'd you do that?
Wow. I mean, when you want something as an entrepreneur, like it's in your bones, you just got to make it happen.
Yeah.
The documentary, I don't want to ruin it for people who see it. It's called 1%. So I won't want to go too
Mhm.
deep into it. But it was very important that we had a recognizable public celebrity in this movie.
Yeah.
So we felt like Russell would have been the great person. And then we really reached out to this guy for many months trying to get him. Um,
Wow.
so I think it's just like
Consistency.
determination and will.
I love it. I love it. Now let's go forward, right? You said, you were in that party. You're like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. How'd you come up with that next business idea? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I had no business experience whatsoever. And my feeling from the very beginning is I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn what I was good at, what I enjoyed,
Yeah.
drove me. And I thought starting a t-shirt company made sense. T-shirt in my mind, I guess initially I felt like, oh, this is gonna be relatively easy. There's not that many things I
Yeah.
can do it. But I was obviously wrong. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But I would learn manufacturing and production, and how to build an e-commerce site, and how to build a brand,
Mm.
how to sell to stores, and I would figure out and how to do PR, and even just building a simple t-shirt company. There's so many aspects of business that you could take
Yeah.
forward. I built this company called Tees and Tats, not the best name, but it was a high-end t-shirt company, and we
Okay.
launched right before the recession in 2007. And if I could take
Okay.
your audience back to 2007, this is when all the banks were closing, everyone was
Yeah.
losing their money, and clearly people did not need a $300 t-shirt at that time. But all the stores we were selling to, and we sold to a lot of stores early on. I was knocking on doors. I mean, there was a market for it
Yeah.
pre-recession. They all went bankrupt, or they all stopped buying, or they all stopped, paying freeze. And I learned at that point that things don't always go the right path or exactly how you
Hmm.
expect it. And I came up with a market relating pricing model. So basically, what I mean by that is when people bought t-shirts on my site, they were given the
Yeah.
price of Dow Jones. And for every 100 points the Dow dropped, they would get a discount on their t-shirt price. So it was
That's
like
genius.
a way to kind of allow people to purchase and not feel
Yeah.
nervous about the economy. It was kind of gimmicky, but I wrote this to Mark Cuban, who I was a big fan of at the time. I follow him, his Blog Maverick blog, and those early
Yeah.
days learning to be an entrepreneur. And he wrote about me. He said, Jeremy, do you mind if I just take your story that you just sent to me and post it on my blog as an inspirational tool for young entrepreneurs who are also facing the headwinds and this once in a generation, once in a lifetime recession?
Yeah.
I said, go for it. That led me on a really crazy path because he wrote about us. That ultimately got on the purview of Ad Age, a big advertising magazine. They wrote about me, which got in front of the CEO of MV Sport. And I met
Wow.
Elliot Pizer, the CEO of MV Sport. And basically, MV Sport's a large company in the promotional product industry. That's how I kind of a long way about how I got to where I am today.
Yeah.
But I met Elliot, we hit it off, and I just I was introduced to this new industry that I never heard of, which is promotional products. They
Mm,
were very focused on collegiate apparel. That's like their main specialty. So if you go to a college bookstore and
yeah,
University of Maryland, and you see a college bookstore with the T-shirt, they do a lot of the production for that. Like it's like Nike,
gotcha.
it's
Okay.
Adidas, Under Armour, and it's MV Sports. One of these big companies that no one's really heard of, but they have a lot of power in this industry. And I used to go to different trade shows with him, and I would see like the buying pattern, who was,
Mm,
the whole thing. I was like immersing myself into this culture. I did that for a few years. Ultimately, I left that to start a company with my brother, and we did the first ever product placement company for YouTube videos. Now, if you watch a YouTube video now, everybody has, product
mm-hmm.
placement, right? A brand in the video, and they're millionaires, right? I mean, Mr. Beast, everyone's doing this.
Yeah.
But rewind, 13 years ago, this wasn't very common. There was like YouTube was the Wild West. These people were living in their parents' basement. They were getting millions of views, but no one was making any money. So
Yeah.
my brother came up with this idea to, what if we got these cool brands like State Farm, Colgate, Verizon, and we got it into the YouTube stars video and play broker between these big brands and these YouTube stars, right?
Wow.
And it really went really well. We ultimately ended up saying, well, why are we just limiting ourselves to YouTube? Why don't we just start buying the rights to major celebrities, Twitter and Facebook feeds? This is
Eesh.
early days where it's like buying oil before people knew oil was valuable. And I can't go through the names, but we bought a lot of major celebrities' rights. And put in perspective, like one of the celebrities we bought their rights on Facebook and Twitter, they had like 5,000 followers. Now they have like 40 million. So put in perspective, like it was so early in social
Yeah.
media, if you will. Ultimately, we packaged that business up, and we were bought by a publicly traded company when I was 25 years old. Um, so I had this like really weird history of like new entrepreneur T-shirt to licensed
Fell
apparel
into a public
entrepreneur to
company.
product placement YouTube videos to owning celebrity rights. And I just saw kind of this full gamut of like what it takes to build a brand and start from nothing and have an idea and just make it happen. Um,
Wow. I got
yeah,
so many questions for you, man. Wow. Well, first, congratulations. That's pretty awesome that you're able to accomplish so much. Now, I'm curious, when you started that product placement business with
yeah,
YouTubers,
yeah.
what were you guys like identify, okay, this is a YouTuber I want to work with, or this is not a YouTuber I want to work with? And I got a follow-up question after that.
Sure. Early days, honestly, it wasn't such a beautiful science. It was like this YouTube star gets 10 million views every video, but they're making no money and they're never doing product placement. And if you watched American Idol and all the judges are drinking out of a
Yeah.
Coke, these guys don't drink Coke, right? So like we know that brands are willing to pay for eyeballs. So our deal is
Hmm.
like, who cares? Like, let's just find YouTube stars that are not so crazy, so out there, but who are
Yeah.
getting tons of consistent videos, consistent views, and let's get relevant brands that appeal to them. So, like one guy, we got State Farm in their video. One guy, we got Wonderful Pistachios, and one like we just picked and choose which ones made sense, and then we work with the YouTube star to figure out a theme. So we actually became
Mm.
kind of like their agency, if you will, like not just their manager of getting them deals,
Yeah.
but this is what we think the type of video that State Farm would like. And we worked
Gotcha.
together and we made it happen.
I love that so much because it's innovative, it's super creative. You don't have to do all the YouTube videos.
No,
You just
nothing.
gotta pair them with the right
Totally.
brand.
We did nothing. Honestly, I had a couple of ideas here and there, but really we were just a middleman. We just
Yeah.
realized opportunity is that these YouTube stars didn't have the relationship to brands and didn't even know where to begin. And we did. We had some relationships to brands. We knew where like we had this grind mentality of we're gonna make it happen. And we could bring in these big deals. YouTube stars would love us, brands would love us, and we are also able to get a piece of the pie.
I'm curious when it comes to the brand side, when you said you guys had a relationship, or did you like just cold call, knock on doors to like
Exactly right.
brand managers, marketing
Yep.
managers?
Agencies, all that.
Got it, got it. Now, fast forward, how do you buy the rights to celebrities'
Mhm.
social media digital footprint? Like that to me is very foreign. And I'm sure for a lot of small business owners, they're like, what? How do you do that? Talk
Yeah,
to me
yeah,
about that.
that was interesting. And truthfully, we didn't have celebrity connections. I was, a
Yeah.
young entrepreneur in New York City at the time. Um, so how do we do this? Yeah, so we had all these YouTube stars. So we were actually building a big brand presence in the
Hmm.
YouTube community. So we knew all the big YouTube stars, which gave us a little bit of clout. So you're not going to go to get these bigger celebrities without having any connections.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we met a guy named Jesse Itzler. He's from Atlanta. You might even know
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I've heard of him.
Yep, Marquis Jet, private jet company, Zico Coconut Water. He's one of the owner of Atlanta Hawks. He's a big entrepreneur. We reached out to him, just like literally blind, and asked to have a meeting with him. Now, this is back 13 years ago. So this is
Yeah.
just gotten way more famous over the years. And he's an amazing person. But we reached out to him. He was in New York City. He had an agency, kind of like an incubator, if you will, had many different startups that he's invested in, that he's a partner in, that he had partners with celebrities. And we pitched him the idea and he loved it.
Mm.
He became a partner. So we actually worked right next to Jesse for 3 years on this business. And he connected us to all these different celebrities that he knew. And the pitch was very simple. This is a new media company. It could be worth something. It could not be worth something. We're going to treat it kind of like you're a new musical artist. We're going to pay you up front. We're going to literally give you money up front to have these rights. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ask you, let's just say celebrity A,
Yeah.
what are your top 100 favorite brands? What's your favorite toothpaste company? What's your favorite, all the different stuff that you can imagine. Then we get a list of all their actual real favorites, not just like stuff that we're going to be getting a brand to be a partner with. Like we know for a fact this is this celebrity's favorite toothpaste company. Then we call that toothpaste company and say, hey, this major celebrity you've heard of loves you.
Oh
Would
my
you want to
God.
do a deal with them on social media? They have this following. And everybody
Genius.
said yes. So we started doing this and it became like this organic true. Like we knew that every single brand we pitched to, it was so organic because the celebrity literally gave it to us and said, these are the
Yeah.
guys I really love and I use them every day. It would feel organic. It wouldn't feel like a shill, if that makes sense.
Wow. Wow. One, genius. Second, Jesse is now what, a billionaire.
Yep.
What were some of the lessons you learned working with him in a 3-year period that you apply now in your business today?
Yeah, well, I would say, first of all, I learned a lot from Jesse, even on a personal level. You know, Jesse
Yeah.
is an amazing person. So he is a great dad, great husband, great entrepreneur, great friend. So, like, if you're just around that, you just see what's important in life. You know, that's truthfully. And I have the same kind of lessons from my family. So I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I've had that good role models. But yeah, you just see what's important. Like if your kid has a baseball game, you go home for the baseball game. It's like you get a big meeting with a major celebrity, and like you really just got to leave and you got to go. It's like what do you focus? What's priority? You know what's so Jesse was, and he's now it's like he's kind of famous for it, but like
Yeah.
organizing his time, like time is so important. And I remember walking to his office one day and he had like a pie chart and he like separate his days into what's important. He's like, I'd spend 3 hours, or I don't know the exact numbers, on myself. This is like for working out, 5 hours every day with family. And it's like people spend time with family, but they're on their phones. Like he doesn't do that stuff. Like he's very present. So I would say I learned a lot on the personal level and at a business level. He was such a likable person and he really cared about people he worked with.
Yeah.
And friends are like, you were gravitated towards him. And also, frankly, he's very creative. He was like, he saw things way before anyone else saw things. So it was something
That's
to like
amazing.
aspire to.
Wow, I love it. Now let's fast forward. You sold that business to a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
Tell us about that process, right? Because I've sold a business, but more to a smaller private company. You sold it to a public traded company. How was that process? How long did it take? How was that part for you
And that
mentally going through that?
was an interesting thing. I mean, it was very so I'll kind of touch on this and I'll fast forward to where I am
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I actually sold my most recent company was also acquired by a big company. But this company, when I was 25 years old, it was very unique because we got acquired and they also gave us funding at the same time. It's like a weird, because we were so new. We weren't an established business. We were just buying all these rights to these celebrities. And then somebody came in within 7 months to acquire us. It wasn't like a typical process where you had to build a brand. We didn't have anything. We just had like a couple of these contracts and we were on the right path to getting more, where this publicly traded company said, let us buy you, let us give you funding so that you could acquire more and more celebrities. I ended up doing that for a couple of years. I ended up starting a social media company after that. And that company didn't actually work. We started a company called Vouch. It was a social networking app based on what your favorite things are. The idea, I still really believe in it. The idea is very simple. You look at Facebook, every aspect of Facebook, somebody took a piece of it and made a dedicated experience. So Instagram took the pictures. Snapchat took the poke. Twitter took status update. Everyone said, Facebook is touched so big of a platform. There's a need for a dedicated experience for each individual thing. And it became
Mm.
our idea was, what if we take the like button? Because the like button in our mind is the most monetizable aspect of Facebook. It's what they charge
Yeah.
advertising against. And we built this social media company and this networking app. And you could like vouch for your favorite things, and your friends could see what you vouch for, and they could follow your book recommendations. It was like Oprah's favorite things democratized for everybody. That was the idea. And we had hundreds of thousands of users. So we got a lot of users. We had a lot of activity. We had a lot of celebrities using it.
Yeah.
But it never took off to where it needs to be for social media. And we ended up shutting it down after 3 years. And that at that point was very stressful. I mean, as you can imagine, you start a business, you pour your blood, sweat, and tears. Up until this point, kind of everything I did was successful in some ways.
Yeah.
Like not the biggest financial success, but it led to a success. And then you're kind of at this crossroads where you just spent 3 years of your life and you didn't hang out for months at a time, and you couldn't date because you were so focused on this business and it just didn't work out. And like, where do you go from there? And I ended up starting a company, swag.com, which is my most recent company. I'll get to that.
Congrats.
Because I figured like I didn't want to get into a business where I'm just building a value and it has to reach an amazing kind of level for us to actually start monetizing it. I wanted to start making money from day one. That was my thing. It was like swag.com. I knew the industry from when I was 22 years old and I worked under MV Sport. I know the promotional industry. And it was like this big aha moment where the industry was getting bigger and bigger. It's like a $25 billion industry. Every single company in the world buys swag. But the buyer was changing. The buyer used to be a 45, 50-year-old office manager. Now the buyer is a younger millennial. So I started doing a lot of research and talking to people and saying, well, you're the new buyer. You're a 22-year-old. It's your first job out of college. How do you currently buy swag? And I realized that the entire system is broken. And everything that they wanted an automated experience. They wanted a brand that appealed to them. They wanted products that were really high quality. They were more retail-like. Stuff that people actually want to keep. They were okay spending a little bit more if it was premium. All these different things. And we built swag.com. And I'll take you a brief, quickly thing. We became the fastest growing company in the industry, in promotional product industry. We went from 350,000 to 1.1 million the next year, to 3 million, to 7 million, to 15 million, to 30 million. In 2021, we were acquired by this much larger company called Custom Inc. They're like the leader in our industry. And we finished our 2021 year at $30 million. So we were acquired at that point. I was the CEO of swag.com up until about a month ago. So I was CEO for the last 2 years also as well. And I just left to start a new division under Custom Inc. So I'm still at Custom Inc., but now I'm building a whole new division within their company at this point. And we just launched like a week ago. So
wow. Well, first, congratulations again, because being able to build that business so fast to get it to the point where you're able to exit it and then build something else within that larger company. How is that in terms of one mindset wise, going from building something so quickly, sell it? Because a lot of people, like after the sell, they kind of go through like a depression mode because they're like, what the hell I'm going to do? To starting something really quickly within that same organization.
Yeah, that is a challenge, honestly. And I have a lot of friends who have sold companies, and my family who are, what the freak are you doing, Jeremy? Jumping right back into it. And I ask myself that same question too. It's a real question, but this idea that I'm starting now within the company, I wouldn't do it unless it was such an idea that I really, truly believed in so much. And this idea I've had, and I'll tell you what the idea is in a second, because I think your audience can get value out of it. I've had this idea for 7 years. So I started swag.com in 2016. The first year that I started selling swag, before we had an e-commerce site, because our swag.com is now super automated and streamlined, and customers can go on and find what they're looking for, upload their design, mock it up. Everything's priced out in real time. They can buy stuff. They can hold an inventory. It's super frictionless. I mean, we have regularly orders for like $100,000 on the site, and no one talks to anybody. I mean, really automated experience. Okay. But the first year of business, it was just me and my co-founder, Josh. We had none of that. We were just knocking on doors, traveling salesmen. That's what the industry is made up of. 80% of the promotional industry. So 80% of the $25 billion industry is mom and pops, less than 5-person teams doing between 500,000 in sales a year to 1 million in sales, very manual, catalogs, phone calls, knocking on doors, etc. That's who I was. But I realized, and I'm somebody who focuses a lot on their time and their time output, from Jesse, honestly, like seeing how he does things. And I realized that I'm spending about 20% of my time on selling the stuff I actually want to do, and 80% of my time on, frankly, the bullshit. like waiting on hold with suppliers, collecting money through invoicing, buying it from one supplier and sending it to another supplier for embroidery,
Mm.
collecting sales tax, remitting the sales tax, working with designers to do presentation decks. There's so many complicated aspects of selling swag, but that's how the business is set up. So
Yeah.
you can only grow so much if you're spending only 20% of your time on selling and 80% of your time on other stuff. We built swag.com, the e-commerce site. It streamlined everything. So in my mind, I was always thinking, what if I took this amazing technology that I'm building at swag.com and gave it to the promotional distributor network? I gave it to everybody. I said, hey, you don't have the resources to build this. You don't know how to build this. Here's a service. You could use it for free. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And now you could make way more sales, way more streamlined. So when we sold to Custom Ink, it really hit me saying, my site is now amazing. Swag.com is amazing. We also have the buying power of Custom Ink. They do,
Yeah.
$650 million a year in sales, or a very large company, and they have huge operational know-how and logistics.
Yeah.
What if I combined the front-facing technology of swag.com with the back-end logistics of Custom Ink, and I gave it to all the distributor networks? Now Jenny Promo, who does $500,000 a year, has the best technology to make sales, right?
Yeah.
So maybe she could do 1.5 million, 3 times the sales.
Yeah.
Every time she makes a sale, it hits our back end and we become the de facto supplier. So she doesn't have to use hundreds of different suppliers. We are doing the whole thing. So all she has to focus on is selling. And now she has the best technology to sell. So if we could become this tech layer in between the distributor networks, there's 22,000, and the suppliers, we become the de facto largest supplier in the industry as well. I mean, simple math, if you get 1,000 of the 22,000 distributors and they're doing $1 million on average, before us, they'll do more.
Yeah.
Let's just say they do exactly $1 million in a way more streamlined way. It's $1 billion of revenue funneling through our system. So I wouldn't typically do this if I didn't really believe in the vision and the idea, and that I'm actually at this intersection of having the technology and having the buying power and infrastructure of Custom Ink. It really only works because these two things are coming together.
That's amazing. So you're literally building $1 billion business within $1 billion business.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the hope.
No, I love it. I love it. So to kind of wrap things up, my friend, I gotta have you come back because I have so much more questions for you. Second, what is that one small biz tips from all your experiences that you would like to share with business owners who listen to this and say, wow, that was so much information, how do I apply it to myself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say this is the biggest learning that I've had as an entrepreneur. And I've had a lot of ups and downs and figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And there's never one right path, right? There's never one path. You have to get started. I mean, that's the first thing. Don't overthink it. Most entrepreneurs overthink their idea has to be perfect. It's never perfect. Just start, pick an industry that you feel passionate about, that you want to adjust. Doesn't matter the exact idea, because you'll learn what the real idea should be based on customer feedback. So listen to customers, remove ego. People get also in their head of I have the right idea. You don't. Most of the time you don't. Maybe you do, but most of the time you don't. It's really should come from customers and learning and being open-minded. That's really a powerful thing, to be open-minded, to be able to change, but be confident enough. It's like this weird dynamic of being super confident in yourself, but also being super open-minded. And it doesn't always go together, but that you have to kind of think it that way. I'll tell you something that one of my big mistakes that kind of led me to making the right decisions. When I was doing Vouch, that idea that ultimately didn't work out, and I still believe that idea could work. I wasn't the right entrepreneur to do it, or we didn't have the right solution. This is the reason why we didn't have the right solution. I was the head of product. So I was the head of user experience, that's like my kind of what I'm interested in, like designing and how things work. I spent a year building Vouch without launching it because I overthought every single idea, when they swipe the button, it has to go this way or that way. I overthought everything. I lost sleep over the littlest details. Okay? We launched it, and I realized the customers did not give a shit about the stuff that I cared about. They cared about a whole different set of things. And if I launched it way sooner, I would have learned what customers really wanted, and I would have given them the right solution. But I was building what I thought the right solution is. So with swag.com, we launched with the landing page that said coming soon. That's it. We started making sales before we had anything. You got to just start making sales, start learning, and start figuring out what the process should ultimately be.
This is amazing, Jeremy. How do people get in touch with you if they want you another pod or just want to connect with you? How do they do that?
Please reach out to me. My email is jeremy@swag.com, swag.com. That's the company I founded. I am now the founder of Swag Space. So you can check us out at swag.space. Very simple. It's not .com, it's just swag.space. And this could be for promo distributors, but anyone. The idea is this: any entrepreneur who wants to start a business,
Yeah.
right? It's hard to start a business. Now you have a business in a box. You literally go on our site. It's free. You have the ultimate e-commerce site to sell. If you're an event planner and want to sell swag, if you're a branding agency and want to sell swag, if you're a screen printer and wants to sell, anybody who is in the industry that maybe their customers buy swag, but they're not buying it through them because they can't sell it. Now they can add a whole new revenue stream. And the
Wow.
entrepreneur who wants to start a business, get into the swag business, you are now going to be having the best site and the best suppliers. You have to learn anything. All you have to learn is how to talk to people and make money. And it's a very good system. I mean, quick thing before we just launched this a week ago, but we have a beta user who's been using it for a while.
Mhm.
Never done swag in his life. He's doing over $50,000 of swag in like the first month. Never sold swag.
Wow.
So the system works. It can really make your life easy, and it could be a great business that you could grow into. So
Thank you, Jeremy, for coming on. Guys, check out Swag Space. As you can see, Jeremy's killing it. Thank you for your time, my
thank
friend,
you for your time as
and
well.
see you next time.